The next item that I am so excited to tell you about is I'm so excited when I can brag about our faculty and our students. About a month ago, Assistant Professor Michael Robertson invited me to his class because he wanted to give me a present. And I was expecting a plant, which would have been fine, but he gave me one of the best presents ever, which was literally a book that had been an assignment, a research study that his students had done in their cultural anthropology class that had looked at how students can become more engaged in LBCC and gave tremendous amount of research and recommendations of things that we can do to make the student experience better. And I said, you know, in light of the fact that the board members had given the wonderful suggestion to highlight student achievement at the board meetings, I said, Professor Robertson, we need you at the board meeting to show off the wonderful work of these students, and I'd like to introduce you very proudly to Professor Michael Robertson.
Good evening, respected Board of Trustees and administration. I want to start off by thanking Superintendent President Dr. Romali for coming out to visit my classroom and invite us to speak, and also to Dr. Miles Nevin behind me for contacting me to set up the details. Thank you for having us over today. My name is Michael Robertson, and I just completed my first year as a probationary faculty on this campus, and I teach anthropology in the Department of Social Sciences. I'm joined today by 3 of my star students who are going to speak to you in a minute about their honors project, this very exciting work that we've done this past spring together. So just a little bit of background to start off. Anthropology is the holistic study of humankind. And our goal in honors cultural anthropology was to study a really unique and diverse cultural group, the culture of Long Beach City College. And for their semester-long project, my honors students engage in real-world ethnographic research, and right here on our campus to answer their questions. And the questions were ranging in content, everything you can imagine. For example, what do students do at the library? Student researched that. What prevents students from going to success centers? Do students feel safe walking to their cars at night? And just how influential is RateMyProfessor.com at students choosing their classes? Someone researched that. And the students found the answers to these questions by using methods of social science. They reviewed the literature, they designed the research, they practiced fieldwork through surveys, interviews, questionnaires, and they analyzed their data to find meaningful patterns in the results. One of several themes emerged from this body of work, and one of the most emergent themes that I noticed as I was grading all of them is that we offer a lot of wonderful services at Long Beach City College. But many of my students found that other students didn't know anything about these marvelous services that we provide. Okay, so that was a common theme that a number of student projects discovered. Now, from the start of this project, I made a promise to my class. I told them if their work was stellar, I would compile it into a single research study, a text, and every student would be the author of one chapter. Well, here it is. And with the hiring of Superintendent President Romali, this 300-page document seemed like a fitting gift to say welcome to Long Beach City College, and here's some things that can orient you to our marvelous students. So we sent out an invitation. Dr. Romali graciously accepted and was kind enough to accept and our present. You want to call it a present? I'm sorry, it wasn't a plant. Yeah, good. And she also suggested that we speak to you today. But I also want to highlight something else. As powerful as the research is itself, I also want to tell you not just about the product, but of the process of doing this work. Now, while I was teaching students to study their own cultural realities, I learned that they may be the most creative forces to learn about institutional change. participant observation is key to anthropology, and it's when we live and practice just like those that we study. So in this sense, student-led research is a marvelous way to learn about students because, after all, they are the students, right? So it made a lot of sense from a social science perspective, too. Now, in our context, our strategic plan emphasizes this, right? Student-centered equity, innovation, community building. And as many of you know, last month at the strategic plan retreat, our Friday night event, we had 30 students come out, and they provided invaluable insights that I never could have gotten by talking to them, right? They had to talk to each other to come up with these ideas and solutions. And it's a very worthwhile opportunity for us to learn from them. So, and speaking of students, 3 of my top researchers are here tonight to briefly introduce you to the subjects of their study and a little bit about their process. So I'd like to introduce Benjamin Lomeli Jr., Maribel Guerrero, and Chris Corona.
Thank you, Professor Robertson. Hello, Dr. Reagan Romali and members of the board. My name is Benjamin Lomeli Jr. Technically now, I guess I'm a Long Beach City College alumnus. Just received my associate's degree in sociology, and I'll be transferring to UC San Diego this fall. So a little bit about my research that I conducted this past semester. So my focus was on advocacy clubs here on campus and how those clubs would affect students' academic success, how they acclimate to college life, and also their self-efficacy. And the club that I decided to focus on was Queer Space. It's the only LGBTQ club here at Long Beach City College. And so some of my findings actually led me to, the methods that I used during this research consisted of participant observation, surveys, and interviews. And in those interviews, 2 students who actually took on leadership roles within the club mentioned how that actually motivated them and encouraged them to continue to come to school because they had this leadership role, and other members of that club actually looked up to them and relied on them to make decisions within the club, right? And so this ethnographic research project actually taught me how to conduct research in a professional manner. And it also introduced me to a lot of the students here on campus, and it gave me an insight on what it is that they're doing and all the great things actually that they contribute to Long Beach City College. Part of the participant observation was attending 2 outside club events. And club events were just wonderful. They were open mics, and the whole point of them was to kind of create this sense of community here on campus. And many students came out and actually expressed, like sang, read poems. And so I think that was one of the most meaningful aspects of this research project. And I'm really grateful that I took this class and that Professor Robertson assigned us with this ethnographic research project. It probably sounds weird to say that, but I really did enjoy doing the research and learning from other students. So thank you for your time.
Congratulations on your graduation. Very good.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, board. My name is Maribel Guerrero. I am in creative writing. I am majoring in creative writing, and my plan is to transfer after spring 2018 to CSULB. The chapter that I wrote within the book that Professor Robertson conducted or pulled together was on the subject of why do students do not eat from the school cafeteria. And within the methods I had to do, I used surveys and interviews. Within those surveys, I only interviewed the students who answered whether they would, if they had the option to eat on campus or off campus, which they would choose. And I interviewed those who said that they would eat off campus if given the choice. Within my findings, the common pattern I found as to why students wouldn't do that, wouldn't eat on campus, was they believe that there was a lack of variety within the cafeteria. And most importantly, students who had special diets such as vegans and vegetarians did not have any or little food choices to satisfy their hunger. One of the most important foundings to me, or that I got within this experience, was you never know what's going on within a student's life. I was shocked within my survey to see not every student ate 3 meals a day. They usually ate less, and this research is very important to me, and I highly enjoyed it. I thank Professor Robertson for this opportunity, for making this really engageful and mindful.
Thank you.
Hey board, so my name is Chris Corona. I recently graduated from LPCC with associates in philosophy. I forget my major. Anyways, so my study was on studying and how students study most of all. So I came upon this when I was just looking at a wall and I was like, I need to find something to talk about. And I was like, all right. And then I was like, I'm studying in a sense. I was like, all right, let me ask students how they study. And then it came to me, and not only how to ask students how they study, but why do they study that way? And through my research, most of it, which I did on my birthday, which was fun. So through my research, I found out that many students don't feel comfortable or happy with the way they study. We study, well, I'll include myself in that group. We study most of all because we're creatures of habit. We do what we feel comfortable with. And when I asked them why don't they change their methods, they were like, it's what I've been doing. So from my research, I found out that it would be a good idea, I guess, if students found different methods of studying. Like, for example, I know, I think we have read 10 we have a class on that. And that'd be a good thing if we told students more and told them, if you take this class, you'll hopefully find the best way for you to study. And while doing this research, while I did learn about my classmates and my colleagues, I guess, it was a new way for me to ask random people, because I would just walk up to students. I'd be like, yo, can I ask you a question? And they'd be like, sure, I'm not doing anything. So I'd walk up to them, and it showed me how polite and how nice we are to each other. And that's something like before Professor Robertson's class, I just go to class and then go to car and then just go home. But with the research of the project, I found out more about the student body, and I found out just how nice and polite we are. So not only do we learn how to do research, but we also learn about ourselves, our students, and how we could approach ourselves when we need help. Because I'd be like, I need to ask you guys a few questions. May I ask you? And pretty much everybody except one person, they were going to class, I understand, said yes. And I was happy about that. So I want to thank Professor Robertson for this opportunity. And this is my first research-based project. It was fun, and I'm thankful. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Professor Robertson and students. And would you please convey to your students that the board and the senior management team are so excited about the results of this, because it helps us to continue to improve what is already fabulous and to make it that much better for the student experience, and convey to them that while we congratulate them in their success, we're also excited that all of the work that they're doing, we're currently working with institutional effectiveness to pattern code the results and be able to start taking action and execution plans on these suggestions so that future students will benefit from your suggestions. So you leave a legacy here after your graduation, and so many students are going to benefit from your work, and we just want to thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
President Baxter, can I just ask a question?
Of course.
First of all, fantastic job. I'd love to see that book, if I may. It sounds amazing. I had a question for the lovely young lady who's one of your students. I'm impressed with all of you. You're fantastic. And I'm particularly interested in the study that you did. Trustee Baxter and I don't know if in your research it came up, but one of our biggest issues on the campus is the issue of homelessness and food insecurity. So we have together started a scholarship fund, and of course this is my pitch to the rest of my colleagues. If they like, they can certainly support that. But one of the things we noticed was the amount of students who are dealing with food insecurity and housing insecurity. When you did your research, I'm assuming that you came across some of the students who are dealing with that. It sounds like I just want you to know, if you feel comfortable, or if they feel comfortable being in touch with you, we do have resources that you can point them to. We've started a food pantry. Our Vice President of Student Affairs gave a report on the resources that is available. There are scholarship opportunities that they can apply for. And then just recently, we were able to work with the supervisor's office. Supervisor Hahn and I worked on this, and it passed that there would be dedicated set-asides from the Measure H that was passed recently, and it would give them access to, the first one would be $40 million for housing funding, so they can get those opportunities and resources that is being rolled out. So I just want you to know that, one, I'm very grateful that you picked that subject. Two, if you do want to pursue being in this area to connect back with these students, there is a lot of movement in this arena that we can certainly offer support to you and fellow students that you have made contact, and really appreciate the work that you guys have done. You're doing great. I could see a bright future already in your path. President Baxter, did you want to add on to?
Yeah, no, thank you, Trustee Z. I was going to bring it up later, but since this is an issue right now, we have nutrition available, basically granola bars, Click bars, things like that, at both of the health centers, the LAC and the PCC, plus water. If students have additional needs, they fill out what's called a basic intake form, and through the money that Trustee Zia and I have raised outside of the scholarship, we can help students with bus passes and grocery gift cards and things like that. But we are focusing on the homeless, and we have an LBCC employee who is kind of monitoring all this, because it's very technical, and everybody wants to have gift cards and gas cards and things like that, but our focus is the homeless students, and putting those students in a stable housing. And within the last 2 months, we have placed 2 students who qualified for Section 8 in apartments, and so that we took care of the deposit and the first month's rent. Then, because they had Section 8 housing, they were able to get housing. One of the students is moving in July 1st. The other one moved in June 1st. And I made a pitch to college retirees and to several people on staff, and we were overwhelmingly received positive things, gift cards to help this student, because she and her children were living in a shelter. And so she is moving into her home on July 1st. We're very excited. She has a job, and most of these students who are homeless have employment. It's just they don't have that little extra money to move into stable housing. And so if anyone wants to contribute, and as Trustee Zia said, we will be able to qualify for Measure H funds, but also if anybody wants to contribute, they can contact me or Trustee Zia, and we can explain to it. But it's a very exciting time for us, because we believe this is part of the Long Beach College Promise too, that students have a safe, stable place to live and food to eat. So thank you, Trustee Zia, for bringing that up.
It wouldn't be quite a promise if we're letting those students down, and I really appreciate you picking that topic up.
And we'd like to look at that research too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
And I just want to correct something for the record, President Baxter. It seems like perhaps Vice President Peterson can touch on this. Do we have the food pantry, or do we not?
So we have our over-the-counter nutrition at both of our student health centers, and we've expanded not just to bars, but we also have the little meals.
I'm glad to hear that.
That they can do in a microwave. Our focus right now is ensuring that there's food for when they're on campus, so that they have immediate to be able to study and participate in class.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Simone, could you take a picture of Mr. Coe and Jennifer?
And the board.
Well,
With
okay.
With the board.
With the board? Okay. Mr. Coe and Jennifer, come on forward. Or, yeah, maybe right here. Come on up here.
Professor Robertson?
Yeah, no, we're going to do that. And Professor Robertson, you too, and your class. I want to take a picture. We'll come down here because I think it's easier.